we don't expand our imagination.
Justification for being what you are.
Welcome to Washington Unplugged. I'm Kaylee Hartung. The Senate race in West Virginia is heating up, and our Nancy Cordes caught up with Democratic candidate for governor Joe Manchin earlier. Then we'll get this inside scoop on Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert's rally to restore sanity here in Washington, D.C. And finally, Politico's Kiki Ryan joins us with this week's Plugged In segment. First, let's take a look at some of Nancy Cordes' interview with Governor Manchin. She asked him if his recent ad, where he literally takes aim at some of President Obama's policies, went too far.
Don't you think it's a little bit over the top to be firing a gun when you're talking about the president and his policies?
We're talking about cap and trade. Cap and trade is dead on arrival. It should be.
But it's still the president's agenda.
Well, it should be dead. You know, it doesn't make who the president is. And spirit of Senator Byrd, if you're wrong, you're wrong. In West Virginia, you can't make wrong right.
But when we talk about extremes in this election, isn't it kind of extreme to be firing a gun when you're talking about anyone's agenda?
In West Virginia, if you don't know how to shoot a gun and handle a gun, you probably shouldn't be running for office.
Even if you're firing at legislation?
At legislation, sometimes you need to blow it up when it's bad.
You're so popular here in this state. Why do you think you're where you are in the polls for Senate?
I think basically it's not how we run our lives in West Virginia. We're not your provider. Government, the state government of West Virginia, is not going to be your provider. We're going to be the best partner because we believe we have an obligation to take care of those who absolutely cannot. But if everybody's sucking off the system and the entitlement mentality is you just got to give more, hardworking people don't believe that.
And so you feel like you're being punished because that's the prevailing view that people have right now?
I think the prevailing view in Washington is just keep printing more money. We figured sooner or later they got to get tired of, or either run out of ink or get tired of printing.
We talked to a bunch of voters here today, and they seemed frustrated because they said one guy's running against President Obama, the other guy is running against Washington. We want to know what they would do for us.
That's exactly. So that's what I was trying. I can't get anybody to talk. I mean, basically, it's all that, they're running against President Obama and the administration. My name's on the ballot. And I said, run against me. We disagree. He and I disagree. He wants to privatize Social Security. I think Erskine Bowles and Alan Simpson will come out December 1st. With their fiscal responsibility and reform act, and it'll show that we can basically secure that for the next 75 years, putting some good basic principles in place. He wants a 23% sales tax. That kills 95% of the people in this country, and in West Virginia more than that, because really it's a break for the elite and the rich. If you're a millionaire, you can do it. He and I should be talking about that. He wants to do it with the education department. If you're a millionaire and you can send your children there. We need public education. We need to make it better, and we're working on that. We just have so many differences, and they won't even talk about it. I'm trying to talk about it because we are different, and we fixed our state because we didn't look at it through the eyes of a political party or the eyes of a political position. We looked at it through the eyes of the challenges of West Virginians.
Now, in an unusual campaign cycle marked by witchcraft, Hicks, and even professional wrestling, an unlikely pair have emerged, pledging to be the ones to restore sanity in Washington. Comedy Central's Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert are bringing their shows down to Washington at the end of this month and planning a rally to restore sanity on the National Mall. Joining me now for a preview, Caroline Cunningham from the Trust for the National Mall and Joe Newman from the nonprofit public interest group Public Citizen. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So, Joe, let's start with you. Now, Public Citizen has started an online campaign to come up with the best slogan for the rally, right? What kind of submissions are you getting?
Well, we are getting just a ton of submissions from all over the country. We've received more than 4,300 as of this morning, and they range from the angry, the sarcastic, the self-deprecating, and some are pretty clever and some you can probably dismiss right away.
So what happens when you choose a winner?
We're going to take the sign that we like the best. May not necessarily be the funniest. It may not necessarily be the most sarcastic, but the one we believe gets our message across. And we're going to print them up on 5,000 placards and hand them out on the National Mall the day of the rally.
And I think you brought some examples you want to show us?
Yeah, these are two that I think resonate. This is I believe in the separation of corporation and state. That seems to be a theme with a lot of the entries. People talking about the anger, this political cycle of all the corporate money that is flooding into the elections, and they seem to be upset about that. This one is also along the same theme, that at least the war on the middle class is going well, which is sort of a humorous take on what's happening. If you can laugh about what's happening in this country, and we'd try to find some humor in it if we can. But it's really, there's a lot of anger also in the signs too, and I think the John Stewart is preaching a message of sanity, rational discourse, and that's what we'll be looking for when we pick a winner.
And Carolyn, let's talk about how your organization got involved. Last week, John Stewart announced on his program that he would be partnering with the Trust for the National Mall. You know, they're not raising money for this event, but saying if you want to contribute money anywhere, this is where you should contribute it. How did you guys get involved?
We actually got a call a couple of weeks ago, went to a junior staff member. We thought it was a joke, but we were thrilled to have the conversation with John Stewart's production company and their choice of the Trust for the National Mall. You know, the National Mall right now has $400 million in deferred maintenance, and the kind of awareness that John Stewart and the Daily Show is going to bring and the rally is going to bring to the needs of the National Mall is really important. To date, we've raised $56,000, $55,000, so we are thrilled with the response of the people who are going to be coming down to the rally.
That's really amazing. Great story. And Joe, I know that there are satellite rallies being planned all over the country. What kind of outpouring of support have you seen online?
Well, I monitor Twitter on a daily basis, Facebook on a daily basis, and it's an incredible outpouring of people saying they're making their plans to come here, that they've booked tickets, and the people that can't come are organizing rallies in Seattle, St. Louis, Austin, Texas, and who knows how many people are going to show up there. But I wrote a blog post a couple weeks ago that said that, you know, John Stewart's rally could be bigger than Woodstock, which had 500,000 people here, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have 100,000, 200,000 people show up, just from the from what I'm seeing online with people saying they're making plans.
Well, thank you very much to both of you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now turning to our weekly series, Plugged In, I'm joined by Politico's Kiki Ryan. Kiki, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
So why don't we start with this Human Rights Campaign dinner, a big star-studded night in Washington on Saturday.
It was. Over 3,000 people turned out for the annual dinner that supports the rights of gay and lesbians. And one of the honorees was singer Pink, who was presented by none other than a singing legend, Bette Midler. That was really exciting. And one of the biggest surprises of the night was Ricky Martin, who wasn't planned. We didn't know that he was coming. He came out at the beginning, kind of made a joke like, you guys all heard I'm gay, right? But the crowd went crazy. Everyone was standing up. So the topics sort of that night were around, you know, of course, being in Washington, don't ask, don't tell, in addition to the tragic stories that we've heard in the news about gay youths and the suicides, which was addressed a lot by senior White House advisor Valerie Jarrett in her remarks at the event. We also ran into Tim Kaine there, and of course, we had to talk to him about the recent rumors that White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs is going to be taking his spot. He was kind of like, I don't know where those came from. We can talk about it, but I really don't know. And he said, I'm just going to keep doing my job. And, you know, Gibbs sort of said the same thing. So we don't know where that's happening. He really didn't know either.
And last year, the other big headliner was Glee. I know they weren't there this year, but Modern Family was really,
that was the big hot show today. That night, we had two stars from the show. We talked to them on the red carpet. Of course, we want to talk to them about their recent gay kiss on the television. It was the first time the gay couple on the show had kissed, and they said, you know, actually there wasn't that big of news surrounding it, and they said that was exactly the way it should be, that these things should just sort of be more natural on television, and they were glad to see that it didn't cause too much controversy.
Now, these aren't the only celebrities that are in Washington right now. I know they're filming Transformers 3 in Washington right now, right?
Yes, they are. Started yesterday, and it kind of started off with the bang. Literally, a DC Metro cop ran into one of the stunt cars. He was responding to a bomb threat on the Hill and was on a different channel on his radio and sped into an area where they were filming and crashed into one of these yellow Camaros that they used for the movie. He was on a different radio, didn't realize, no injuries, minor injuries. He went to the hospital for a little bit, but you know, this was the start. We're going to see them filming all over town. There's road closures everywhere. They filmed, you know, yesterday out in Arlington, here on the Mall, and you know, we've seen them everywhere. I saw Josh Duhamel, one of the stars from the movie, last night at the Tombs in Georgetown, and actually on my way over here, just walking, I saw Shia LaBeouf over at the coffee shop down the street. So, you guys, we might see them everywhere for this next week.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much, Kiki. I really appreciate it. And that's it for Washington Unplugged today. Join us here every day on CBSNews.com and every Tuesday with Jan Crawford and Jeff Zelny, who will be back here next week. I'm Kaylee Hartung. Have a great day.